Okay, you'll notice that we've skipped over chapter 1.2. You should also notice that even though it doesn't sound great anyway, but my voice should be a little bit louder this time because I actually have my microphone on my headset. But anyway, chapter 1.3, solving equations, and because this is algebra 2 again, this is an assumption you've already mastered some of the stuff you're supposed to see. Again, if not, email me and I can send you to show you some things that'll help you get some background information. But it's going to require for you to do some extra work because it is honestly not my duty to actually teach you those things. But again, as long as you're decent on all that stuff, and as long as you are willing to work and ask questions and fight through the frustration, you should be fine. Again, if this is not the case, you'll have to do a good amount of work to get caught up. And again, make sure you communicate immediately. Don't feel ashamed if you feel like you may not be ready, or if you need me to send you a video, because again, not just one thing if you do it and feel embarrassed, but you get the job done. And it's another thing if you don't do it because you're embarrassed, and 2 weeks from now you're lost and you have to, you failed a quiz and you failed another quiz and you're about to fail a test because you're lost. So please be sure you communicate with me. I do not judge my students based off of their questions as long as they are willing to work through those problems that they have. So again, I do look at those people who don't do their job, but as long as you're willing to work, I don't care where you are, as long as you're willing to try to make it. So again, be sure to use the videos that are on the classroom page as much as possible. We're not going to waste time working on the rules. Instead, I'm going to look at some examples of what's expected. And again, these will be on your homework. You are going to have to show work on these things. So again, make sure you copy these examples so you can actually use them on your work. And then again, as usual, send me a screenshot. I will try to explain to you what you might have done wrong, and let's go from there. Some examples of what you're going to be expected to do mixed in with, the skill set that you should have is solving a problem with fractions in it. And I am going to pretty much force you on this to do it in a way that you're probably not used to. I know some of you think I'm going to add the 7, but what I'm going to teach you to do is to get rid of the fraction first, because again, this is a skill set that will help you out later. So on these questions on the computer, you are going to be forced to eliminate your fraction first. I need you to hear that because that's one of the questions I'm sure I'm going to get. Somebody's going to say, well, I did it right, but it says I'm wrong. If you do not eliminate the fraction first, MathXL is going to mark you wrong because it's very picky. So what I need you to do is look at this and say, how do I get rid of a fraction? We'll think about what number's on the bottom and simply multiply everything times 2. Now on the computer, you will not have to show me all these, but on your paper you should be able to do that. And what that means is, keep in mind that whenever you multiply and have a 2 on top and a 2 on the bottom, that these two things cancel, which pretty much means what comes down is negative 5d plus 14 equals negative 106. From there, do the math that you've learned, which is to move your weaker operation, and the weaker operation right now is addition and subtraction. And so subtract your 14 from both sides, bringing down negative 5d, and that makes, I believe, negative 120. You don't have to do this, but I always do it to be safe, which is I switch my signs first just to make sure I don't lose my negative, and then I divide by 5. But again, please ask me about that, and you'll know, because if the computer doesn't want you to show it, it'll automatically go to the answer, and if it is a blank in between, it's because I want you to actually flip it. But anyway, pretty much you are going to do this as 5 goes in, and you might want to pay attention to how I do this division, because you can do it too without using all that other stuff. 5 goes into 12 twice. I'm doing long division twice with 2 left over, so I put the 2 above the next number and view this as 5 goes into 20 4 times, and so your answer would be 24. I believe on the computer you are going to be expected to show this step. I don't need to show this step. You'll be expected to show this step. If necessary, you'll see that and this, but I will not need to see the minus 14, so divided by 5s like I would do with my algebra 1s, because I'm assuming you already know how to show the work. So again, you will not need to show your plus 5 divided by 5 times 2 steps, but you will need to show me the main work. So pretty much basically, let's just go ahead and look at something here and show you what you would actually have to put on the computer. 2x plus 5 equals 7. Your next line would be 2x equals 2, because I would subtract 5. Again, you won't need to show that. And then your last line would be x equals 1. So these would be the parts that you would have to type in. I do not need to see this, and I do not need to see that. So again, it's a computer. I don't need to see everything, but I do again want you to take me through your logic. B, the thing you need to be careful on here is that the first thing you want to do is combine your like terms. Again, copy this example to make sure it's on your work. And so we will end up with, I believe that is 6.9V plus 1.8 equals 15.6. Here, I'm going to subtract 1.8, and you might even be doing this differently on the computer, but we'll see. I'll work it out two different ways, and you get 6.9V equals 6. That's going to be subtracting, so that lines up. Turn that to a 4. That's 16. That'll be 8.4 minus 1, 3. So 13.8. Yes, it is. So 13.8 there. It is positive. And what I was supposed to do in the beginning, which I forgot because it's my first lesson doing this year, is get rid of the decimals. And here's what you can actually do, because I think this is the key idea of what we're doing here. One of the things you can actually do is you can move your decimal pretty much kind of like how we did with the fraction. You could actually multiply everything by 10, because when you multiply a decimal by 10, the decimal moves over 1, so you can move everything over 1. I'll show you that first step, which I believe you're going to have to do on the computer. Sorry for messing up your example. But you end up with 69V equals 138. Again, if that moves over, that turns to 69, not 6.9. This turns to 138. And now you divide by 69 instead of 1.69. And I believe 69 goes into 138 twice. So let's go back. I believe, again on the computer, you are going to have to do your first step as 24V, because that moves, plus 18 plus 45V equals 156. So jot that down just to make sure, and you'll probably need to do that on your computer, because I think part of what I'm trying to teach you here is how to get rid of fractions and how to get rid of decimals. I apologize for doing that using a different brain, but I think that the focus here is for you to get rid of your decimals and fractions and things. So jot that down just to make sure, and I think that's probably what it's going to ask you to do. I still haven't made that question up yet, so I'll probably explain it in the question itself. Here, the first thing you want to do is make sure you distribute. Just make sure you distribute appropriately. That's going to be negative 7G. Don't forget this is negative 7 times negative 9, which is positive 63. Don't forget this is a negative 6 times G. And this is a negative 6 times a negative 9, which is a positive 54, equals 7G plus 57. So the first thing you want to make sure you do is distribute appropriately, paying attention to the negatives. The second thing you want to do is combine your like terms. Here, negative 13G. Those two go together to make 117 positive. I hope. You will see me make mistakes on this, but hopefully not today. Again, negative 7, negative 6 makes negative 13. That would be 7, 6 plus 5, 11. Yes, so I think I'm good so far. And if I were you, I would always move the smaller variable to the other whenever there's variables on both sides. I know you think 7 smaller than 13, but this is a negative 13, which means that I would actually add 13G, because negative 13 is smaller than positive 7. And so these go away, giving me 117 equals 20G plus 57, which then will ask me to move my weaker sign, which is to 57. I believe that is 0. That would be 6. Again, do your best in your work to do it without a calculator, but if you need to use a calculator, fine. You are working on a skill set, and so you are going to eventually be expected to kind of have an idea what's going on there to be able to do this. And keep in mind, that would be your first step. That would be your second step. I will not need you to type that into the computer. That'll be your third step. 60 equals 20G will be your fourth step, and your last step on the computer would be 3 equals G. So again, kind of keep that in mind. Also keep in mind, I will expect for you to move this smaller one, so make sure you're ready to do that. Again, if you have a question, make sure you take a picture of it and ask me so I can try to help you out. Last question here. Again, last type of example I expect you to try. First thing we want to do here is distribute. and I want to make sure you work on multiplying a fraction times a number. When you multiply a fraction times a number, send the number to the top. So 6 moves up to 2 to make this 12c over 3. Again, 6c times 2 is 12c, again, over 3, minus 18 times 2 is 36 over 3, plus 8c times 3, again, whole number times a fraction. You might want to write that down if you need to. Whole number times fraction, send the whole number to the top. 8c times 3 is 24c over 4. 32 times 3 is, 96 over 4 equals negative 18. From there, simplify any fractions you can. 12 divided by 3 is 4. 36 divided by 3, 3 goes into 3 once. Again, that long division I showed you, 3 goes into 6 twice. There's that number. 4 goes into 24 6 times. And again, this is a big one here, but think about it the way I just showed it to you with the fraction part. 4 goes into 9 twice. Don't be silly. With 1 left over. Again, 4 goes into 9, which makes 8 with 1 left over. View this as 16. 4 goes into 16 4 times, giving me that part there. And if you're not used to doing that, just practice it, and again, eventually you will get better. First time I learned that, it took me a while, but again, the more you do it, the better you get. Combine your like terms, getting 10c looks like plus 12 equals negative 18, and then subtract your 12 from both sides. 10c equals negative 30, and again, showing you the way you would show on your part there. Divide by 10, and c is negative 3. Again, you will not need to show that step, but the things that you have there are the steps you're going to have to show. Sorry, that wasn't your last example. Last thing is this. In one of your classes, you want to have an 83% test average. So far, your test results have been 82, 76, 86. What must you score on your 5th test to reach your goal? I want you to understand that average pretty much means that you can expect that every time. So think about a sport. Sorry to have to go to basketball, but it's on right now. If someone averages 20 points a game, we expect that person in every game to score 20 points because that's what they average. And if you want to average a 83, then what you can do here, an easy way to do this is you want your 5 tests, because you already have 4, is what I would do is I would put 5 blanks. This is just, I won't say the cheap way, but it's the logical way to do it. There are 5 tests, and you want to average at 83, which means you would expect an 83 on all 5. That means you want to add those up, or do 83 times 5 as a total, which will give you 5, carry the 1, 41. That means pretty much if you want to average 83 on 5 tests, you need to score 415 points. Again, 415 points divided by 5, as you would average it, will give you 83. So what that means is I want to total up to 415. That means what I want to do now is take 82, 80, 76, and 86 and figure out what they add up to make. So 2 plus 6 is 8, plus another 6 makes 14. 8, 9, 17, 24. I think that's 32. And so what I just set up here is, this is the total based off of your expectation of what you want your average to be. This is your total that you need. This is how many points you have. And so what you do with those two numbers is subtract them. 5 minus 4 being 1. Borrow 11 minus 2 being 9. You need 91 points on that test. Again, email me, let me know. There are other ways to do that, and I can explain that to you. But keep in mind that this actually does work, and you can check it with a calculator, which you don't have to like run away from calculators as if they're have the coronavirus or anything, because that's our new joke. Plus 80 plus 76 plus 86 plus 91 equals, there's our total divided by 5 tests, and look at our average there, which is 83. So again, make sure you go over to your Math Excel, do your work on this. You do have a quiz on Friday, and again, all of these are test questions / quiz questions. Not all of them, well, a lot of them are test and quiz questions, so make sure you work them as if each question is going to be on your test or quiz, and that will guarantee that you do decently well on your quiz, and that you're ready for it whenever that comes up at the end of the week. But other than that, that is the end of the lesson. Make sure you answer the question at the end of the video, and good luck.